Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I echo Barbara Mikulski's statements about all of you, and everybody said 5, I'll say 6, because there's another gentleman sitting over there. You work hard, and the nation appreciates it. We all make mistakes. We are all overwhelmed. But when you're overwhelmed, the consequences are greater than when we're overwhelmed. And so I want to start off by asking a question to the Minneapolis agent. You had the FBI was suggesting that Moussaoui be put under surveillance. That's what you told the Joint Inquiry staff. But you said in your own testimony that you didn't have enough agents, didn't have enough people.
Well, that's partially true. We would have made those people available had we thought that was a viable option.
Right. So that's I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Now, I had, until you spoke just a moment ago, thought that you were an FBI criminal investigator, and I'm sorry I didn't know that you had a terrorist. Most of your career has been spent in working with terrorism. Moussaoui had a French passport problem, and I'm trying to figure out how it works through your mind that a French passport expiration problem means that we need to pursue him in terms of holding him to account for that, as opposed to a surveillance problem where he's already been attached and identified with wanting to fly the kinds of airplanes that are large and can do extraordinary things and has no previous experience in that, and therefore has been identified potentially as a terrorist. That why wouldn't surveillance rise clearly as the priority that you would choose?
The reason that I made the decision that I did, and I'll just take it back one step, I have spent most of my career in the criminal arena, not in counterterrorism. My counterterrorism experience was about the last year prior to my assignment in this the capacity that brings me before you today. What we were attempting to do, the information that we obtained initially to open the intelligence case, was that this person was particularly suspicious. There was no specific allegation of any criminal activity. But as we developed the case, we found out, first of all, he had this visa waiver pilot program violation. He was in the United States longer than he should have been, which gave us the opportunity to arrest him and arrest his behavior, because I didn't want him to get any additional time in a flight simulator that would allow him to have the knowledge that we could no longer take back from him to operate an aircraft. This provided us the opportunity to freeze the situation as it was going on right there, prevent him from gaining the knowledge that he could use at some point in the future. And if ultimately we determined all we could do after interviewing him and doing some other investigative steps, if all we could do is deport him, then we would be sensitized to the fact that he was interested in doing something else, and he could be put in the tip-off system. He could be put in the appropriate notifications could have been made if he attempted to re-enter the United States. But our focus was on preventing him getting the knowledge that he would have needed.
Preventing him from getting the specific knowledge which he was engaged in acquiring. But there was a larger background that was apparently there. And I think it's almost like a hub question that I'm asking is, how do you make that judgment? That somebody has done something which is illegal, therefore I'm going to pursue my FBI lawyer, criminal investigation, or that there's a hint here of something broader, and rather than just prevent him from being able to go back to that flight school, that I'm going to venture out of your very good mold on this and say that we better watch this person in a variety of ways and put him under surveillance.
I think it's important to remember, at least for me, it's important to remember the circumstances that were present prior to September 11th. we had no real incidents of airplane hijacking that had happened domestically within the preceding decade. We now have a different perspective that is very, very difficult to go back and forget and not acknowledge. But again, I speak to my criminal background in saying if a violation has occurred and we can take further steps to stop what could speak to a continued violation, we'll act. And those were the circumstances under which I made that decision.
Thank you. Well, my time is up.